What is something fun you did as a kid that kids today won't be able to experience? Not having to worry about other kids spreading measles. Getting hit with the wooden spoon. Why can't kids today experience that? It's considered child abuse now. Getting together with friends without mobile phones, WhatsApp etc. Just go by their door with a growing group of friends until the squad is complete to hang out. This brought back good memories. We'd all play hang out until dark and ride our bikes home. Went to school without being afraid of a shooting. The Nintendo DS and the PlayStation 2. Got to experience both, albeit with parents that are really strict with the ratings of video games. Still fun though. Why can't kids today play the Nintendo DS and the PlayStation 2? I'm 13 and I've already played the DS and PS2. They are probably more likely to have a chance to play it now than when the systems were new. People just have them sitting around. Just roaming around the neighborhood and coming home when the street lights come on. That's why my kid does. There's like 10 of them that run around together. I really hope I move into a neighborhood where kids can do this. It's kind of why I want to move back to the town I grew up in. It isn't perfect, but most people are old school and don't care if kids roam in the neighborhood. I did move back to that town. Fair warning, you may discover it's not that town anymore. What? I do that, and I know tons of kids who do. Kids still do this, but it's more of a set time now instead of street lights. Linking up Gamma Boys, so you could trade with your friends. Riding the rear-facing backseat of a station wagon. Split screen gaming. Other than fighting games it doesn't exist anymore. Some of the PS4's PlayLink games are pretty good for the same room gaming experience, but it's not quite the same as a full-on co-op game. It's sad. I miss having a friend over and playing a game together. It's such a pain now to play together, since you really have to coordinate. Split screen was the superior form of coop gaming. Halo is gonna have split screen again. I've definitively played split screen before, so now. Name me 5 good ones off the top of your head from this generation. Fighters and sports do not count. I'll start you off. A Way Out. Playing games outside like Manhunt with your friends. Going outside to play until sunset or the street lights came on. Trick or treating all through your block and a few more blocks with your friends until you filled your pillowcases with candy. I've done all of these though. Getting old people to do dumb stuff with their non-computer electronics because they don't understand the Y2K bug. Riding in the bed of the truck everywhere. Still good to go in Texas, as long as the seats in the cab are full. Legal in Wisconsin, if buds are on the bed of the truck, as opposed to the wheel wells or bedsides. I'm not sure about that distinction, honestly. Hawaii is a click it or ticket state, but you can still sit in the bed of a truck or even in the highways. I did this every time we moved house. It was so much fun. We'd always come out with bruises and scrapes, but that never stopped us. You can still do it in Iowa because of farm work. You can't be on the tire cover. You need to be up against the back window. Calling your friend's house phone, their parent answering, then asking to speak with them. Also, ringing their doorbells to see if they were even home. If you are like 5 to 8, chances are that you don't have a phone or Facebook, in which case you would call the house phone. Ah man, I was too young to experience this, but I remember this is what my brother used to do. Ah man, I was too young to experience this, but I remember this is what my brother used to do. When I was about 4 years old, my mama took me to a Lego exhibit and mini convention at the King of Prussia Mall in like 1989 or so. The mall was decorated with large sculptures of people made from Lego bricks, and there were little stations everywhere for kids to play with Lego pieces as much as they wanted. I was so blown away from excitement that I got super hyperactive, lost control, couldn't remain calm. Now as an adult, this is what I do with Lego. This is a recent YouTube video of an older build that I just dismantled. I'm pretty sure kids might be able to do that nowadays, only at Legoland or the Lego stores in big cities. Unless you're referring to specifically shopping malls doing exhibits like that. Yeah, that's basically what I'm referring to. I'm sure kids today could go nuts at Legoland, but whenever I've seen exhibits and such with big Lego sculptures, the kids just kind of ignore them and wander around with iPads. And yeah, a big Lego event like that at a major shopping mall probably wouldn't happen again. That's definitely still a thing. Playing with high quality plastic toys. Watching new Simpsons episodes. At least through 2021 this is not true. Odds are good they'll just replace the old voice actors when they start dropping off. I think once one main cast member stops they will all stop. They would have to replace all of them. History suggests otherwise. There was a miscommunication that led Harry Shearer to announce he was leaving the show. Not only did the other actors renew their contracts, they began auditions for who would take his place. I'm pretty sure Fox has no actual love for the show. They'll just jam a whole cast of people in there. Going to school without active shooter drills. Yeah, but the duck and cover weren't much fun either. Fortunately, I was mostly raised in the post-Soviet era. False. Hyper-nationalist anti-communist propaganda drills. I mean duck and cover drills just got a new name. And before that it was WWII bombing drills. This has always been a thing, and will always be a thing. I didn't experience any of those. I went to school in the 90s and early 2000s. Kids today don't do those drills though outside of USA, obviously. Playing hide and seek in the middle of the night. Riding my bike across the border to buy cheap American candy at the gas station across the line, barely slowing down to wave at the border guard as I went by. Canadian candy comes at a premium. It tends to be a bit pricier. There was also lots of candy items that weren't carried in Canada when I was a kid. It was also just the closest place for me to get to buy candy, since I grew up right along the border. Reading books and getting personal pan pizzas from Pizza Hut. I read a lot. I was an overweight kid. Sorry for my ignorance. Apparently Book It still exists. Yay. That was a big thing for me to look forward to when I was a kid. Are you talking about Book It? Because that still exists. Pizza Hut employee here. We still do that at my location in CA. That's great. I really thought it died out. My bad. You were part right I think. My location is technically part of a large franchise. The Book It program isn't mandated by corporate, if I recall correctly. Yeah, Book It still exists, but let's get real here. The Pizza Hut you and I loved as children is decades past. Going to stores like Jamesway, Hills, Woolworths, and service merchandise. I always loved the smell of the popcorn as you entered Hills. We weren't wealthy, but we had enough left over to be considered fortunate. It was a smell that became entangled with getting a new Ninja Turtle figure, or, just maybe, a Nintendo tape. I have a similar memory attached to Mart. When I was little, there was a snack bar in the front of the store, and I always remember that smell of fresh popcorn as soon as we walked in the store. And they had those yummy ham sandwiches and ices. I remember this as well, however I have the smell of hot dogs I think associated with that one. Going to the store used to actually be fun. How did we let that slip away? My grandparents had lawn darts at their house and me and my cousin modified them to be launched via a homemade slingshot using industrial rubber tubing and 2x4 in an X fashion. We launched one hard enough to get it stuck in a tree about 20 feet off the ground, and I had to climb up to get it. Knowing where the friend group is based on bikes at someone's house. Drive-in movie theaters they still exist, but they aren't that common. There are a few of them in Ohio, quite massive ones as well. Playing barefoot in the street. Cars used to watch out for kids. Not so much anymore. I think most people would, but it's not safe anymore because of the ones who don't care or won't put their cell phones down. Watching a 5-hour block of Nickelodeon programming and being able to view more than 3 different shows during said time block. It's more or less a SpongeBob channel at this point with a few other shows peppered in here and there. Discussing with your friends about tips, tricks, and/or secrets about a game, or how to beat it. The internet destroyed that. Probably the joy of knowing an ice cream truck come by as you hear the music getting closer and closer. I still have an ice cream truck around my house. He plays the modern music with the old cell phone beep tones. Total nostalgia almost, but yeah. It'll be pretty bummed if he ever leaves. The actual ice cream is expensive AF, but that's just my opinion. I have always had great hearing, so I tell my neighbor's kids the ice cream truck is on the other street. When they are out, their father as my English teacher gives me perks in my worst subject. I'm 16. Walking around Toys R Us in awe. This makes me sad. I loved Toys R Us and still do. I'm a teenager for reference. Watching game graphics go from hard polygon shapes to scene almost better than real life. Used to be able to go into electronic appliance stores and spend the whole time playing on the consoles at the time: SNES, Mega Drive etc. on full games, 2-player options and no restrictions. I'm not sure if you can still do that now, but I know in practically every store I visit now the closest you can get is if they are demonstrating VR tech. So it appears you still can, but my memory is of early mid-90s UK stores, so might be different in other countries. I was born in '84 and don't recall ever getting full unrestricted access to SNES games at appliance stores. The magical feeling of going to Toys R Us and not being able to decide what toy you want most. I miss this feeling. We were poor, so we didn't get to go to Toys R Us but once or twice a year, but when we did go there, the excitement was unreal. Just being innocently spontaneous in general. When I was a kid, my friends and I would play in the streets, ride our bikes to the store, go skinny dipping in summer, and play video games all day. Nowadays kids are too into smartphones, busy living in competitive environments, and don't know how to be a kid. It saddens me. Playing the original Club Penguin. Getting 10x score in LEGO Star Wars GCS. Finding a quarter meant I could buy a bag of chips. Going to Toys R Us. If you live in UC you won't, sadly. Playing 18-bit games and having them feel immersive, then being temporarily overwhelmed each new generation and wonder how previous gens felt so alive in retrospect. Live in a world without memes and have good music. TFS wrong with memes. Also, just because you don't like it doesn't make bad. Some older music I've listened to I think is whack, but I understand that it was fire in whatever era it was from. Hang out with friends without worrying about getting measles. By the time I was like 10ish, myself and a group of other kids in the neighborhood basically had free roam privileges over the entire neighborhood. I remember walking around with anywhere from 1 to 3 of my friends and just kind of strolling the neighborhood. I sometimes think about going back there and walking the old paths again. Fairly suburban neighborhood, but not in the planned community sort of way, but I'd probably get the cops called on me, and or it would change how I remember it. Drive a 1941 Ford Coupe. I'm 33 years old. Just seeing the starts without the light pollution that we have today. The roads with way less people and much less crowded. The air that was too pure. Gosh, we really need to get these back. Light pollution just kills me. I live in a car town and the sky now looks like New York City because of the laser beam white LEDs with no shielding. That's why I might go live with my dad's family on their farm. It's always super peaceful there, and you can go out and just sit there and see the stars and hear the crickets, the occasional train coming through the valley. It's nice to not have to hear a car every 30 seconds. What year are we talking about here?